2, 1, go. All right, level 33 is a third of the way through our levels. So we're going to have a fairly intense level grind to get all of the intelligence points and the HP that we're looking for on this Black Mage. HP is not nearly as free as it is on the other character classes. You will get there. It is a matter of when, but we would like to get there a little bit sooner. We would not like to have any of these man cats. Or really pretty much anything else in this dungeon other than those zombies. The zombies are not bad. The mummies are probably okay with the ridiculously high magic defense scores that you have with mages in this version of the game. It seems like you don't really worry all that much about getting put to sleep by the mummies. Let's see if Fire 2 is enough to kill a zombie. Probably pretty close at this point. Oh yeah, it does it. That means we get to do the cheaper Fire 2 option rather than using up our Fire 3s here. I will have Fire 3, Lit 3, and Ice 3 on the Black Mage. Those are all available without class change, which is a notable difference from the Red Mage, who only gets the Fire 3 spell. Jimmy Scarlet, thank you much for the good wishes there. PCMN1331, welcome in, and thank you as well for the good wishes. A wonderful day when we can finally get rid of these second tier spells. We will have, over the course of the game, the items that will replicate Lit 2, Fire 2, and Ice 2 here. Ooh, do we get a good level? This is 34. So what I will be looking for here is going to be, I believe, both HP and MP. We did not get the HP. Strong MP gain, agility, intelligence, stamina, and luck. Very good level, but let's take the strong HP gain. See if we can make that happen. I'm almost tempted to just roll with that because our hit points are doing okay. And that was a lot of additional stats. Agility and stamina are both not guaranteed here. So it'd be lovely to get some bonus points on those. I mean, the stamina point is, by itself, worth about 15 hit points. So it almost breaks even. Alright, 3, 26, intelligence, luck, that is not nearly as good. Our link chest still thinking this version, yep. Everything is exactly the same for whenever it is a linked item. What is slightly different is that some of the lower quality items have been replaced with specialist things. Like in the Cardia Islands, there are a few boxes that had just like junk in them, and those got like an X potion and a turbo ether and things. But it's very, very small numbers of those. Alright, 3, 26 intelligence, luck again, so that is the bare minimum. Hey, Sacred Dad, welcome in. How has Dan accomplished so much, and yet done so little? I mean, chaos is still out there. Despite all of our hard work, we have not even yet managed to stop this guy for good. Now, when I get a heal staff here, I mean, it's actually kind of interesting, but probably don't need it. With the massive intelligence gain, heal 1 might do something. And considering you've got no other healing options on the Black Mage, I'm pretty tempted. I mean, I also had a free fight here versus the Nightmares. Black Mage damage is high enough that this is not a problem at all. But we do grab it. Okay, 324 intelligence, luck again. Gonna first have to get our level up done. Nightmares are very, very fast. And because our Black Mage is not, that means we are probably going to have to do this with violence. Alright, we are also probably going to have to delay a little bit here, try and get a different version of the Nightmare fight. Just some extra frames inserted. See if that gets us a new outcome. Okay, we get first strike, which is different. Let's see if it's better. 326 agility, intelligence, luck. I mean, it's a little bit better, but not good enough. Again, I probably should have taken the one that had agility and stamina gains. That's actually really, really good to get 2 bonus stats, and pretty decent ones for the Black Mage at that. But I did not yet know at the time the challenges that we would face on getting this level done. Alright, got the strong HP gain, we're done. 28, 25, agility, we're intelligence and luck. That is good enough for me. Go ahead and grab our heal staff. Again, maybe gets used, maybe doesn't. But given that the Black Mage has no problems killing nightmares, it's way less of an issue than some of the character classes that have to try and run away from these things. That is, we're at 500 health. Try to see if that's enough to cruise to the finish. I think we need a little bit more to be able to guarantee it. We are probably just with pure luck going to hit it regardless, but that would rely on some of those 1 in 8 chances. So I'll probably take a couple more level ups, still focusing on getting the strong HP gains when we've got a guaranteed intelligence point already in hand. That's Sunday. We will no longer need these, and then we can probably work on something else. Maybe agility. That's why I was going to put the gold bracelet on. Nice little upgrade there, 9 extra defense. Enough when Dan was struggling with the pirates, and amazingly, Dan is still struggling with pirates. They grow up so fast. Alright, Sue Scarlet, that one's going to be pretty important. Let's get heal staff up there as well for right now, and then down here, I can put in some of the ones that are going to be used a ton. Potion, the high potion, probably the antidote. I'm thinking that we don't need the Phoenix down. Well, that'll be a perfectly fine space to leave those things here for right now. Really cat, thank you much for the good wishes. Ray Dog DLX, welcome in, and thank you much for the good wishes. And MP helps with this a lot, because you can basically carry around gigantic sacks of MP with those ethers. It is very, very easy to spend a long time in dungeons grinding with a mage, which you cannot do on the NES version. Alright, 25, we got the strong HP gain. 14 did not get the intelligence point, which is probably the more important to hit at this stage. So we're going to try that again. And one kind of nice thing here is that in between your zombie dragons, if you end up getting just a bad streak of level ups and you want to explore out of it, you can take the off-tile encounters, try and get some of these random fights to give you a different result for the level ups. All right, 27, 14, there's our intelligence point, and there is level 35 done. I guess don't use Fire 2 yet. They will get to Fire 2 eventually. It is just it is the last spell on the list instead of the first one. Alright, looks like Fire 2 good for killing zombies. The question is how many? Well, looks like that many. We need one more zombie for level up here. This one level 36, guaranteed intelligence point. We'll be looking for our HP gain as a bonus. Great, did not get it. 24 agility, intelligence, stamina, which are all guaranteed. This is a pretty stacked level for just the vanilla. And so you really want to get the HP on top of this one. .324 agility, intelligence, stamina. Yep, same thing. We'll see a couple different variations depending on our starting load time here. But if that doesn't do it, one slight downside of this place is that while you get really good experience, you cannot run from the zombie fight. So to mix up the RNG, if you have a dry streak, is a little bit tougher than the mummies. All right, 325 strength, agility, intelligence, stamina. Don't think the strength point is all that impressive. Of our 5 stats, strength is going to be the least important for the Black Mage. Luck is probably second least. Point HP and MP gains, not really all that impressive. I do want a little bit more HP, but that's about it. And strong MP gains are kind of irrelevant. All right, 326 agility, intelligence, stamina. Solo one. It's also kind of hard to tell apart because there's only 2 different configurations of zombies, and it's a unrunnable fight, so you never get a first strike or damage. It's always a neutral start. 225 agility, intelligence, stamina. So these are pretty much the same. Seeing a couple things around here. Let's go try the non-zombie encounter. Thing is, I could probably take some of the less good ones because as long as you get the intelligence point, we're really good there, and I can make up the HP later. But I would kind of like to keep our streak going. Over the course of the playthrough, I can skip 20 points of intelligence. So far we've been hitting, I believe, all of them, which is pretty impressive. And we can certainly skip a lot of HP gains from this point on. Just that every time I skip something, it is going to put a little bit of pressure on getting it somewhere else until we catch up to it. Alright, 325 strength, agility, intelligence, stamina. So we've seen that one. I'll try and get a fight, then run from it to scramble things up a bit. Maybe get healed up and so we can spend an extra turn in a battle. Hey, Slayer's Fall, welcome in. Thank you for the good wishes there. Definitely enjoy our solo Black Mage playthrough. We got the zombie grind going here. And it's going to be going for a while. First time we got 26 MP. So that is going to be the high end of the range. Your strong HP and MP games have a smaller spread on this version than the NS version for whatever reason. It's only a 3-point spread instead of a 5-point spread, it looks like. So it is like very, very minute changes, plus the scheduled guaranteed gains are all at different places. It's 1 in 8 instead of 1 in 4. But the basic concept is pretty similar in that when you want to get the best levels that you can, you do want to try and be picky for anything that has a reasonably good chance of landing. In this case, 1 in 8 chance of getting our HP that we want. That's not too bad. If it's a 1 in 64, then I start thinking about whether it's really worth it. 326 strength, agility, intelligence, stamina. There's so much guaranteed stuff here. It is harder to spot when you actually get a really good level up versus just an average one. So I guess it's kind of good. You're still, regardless, getting a decent amount of value here. Try this with 2 attacks. Might just be the same as doing a double zombie. We'll see if this could be something new. Same one. Now we're going to go to 535 on this one. Because I've got the intelligence point guaranteed, it's really not too bad if we have to bail on it. So I'm not going to spend a super long time on level 36. Nope. 2 more. Preemptive on the Medusas. Don't think we've seen that combination before. Give me something new. Nope. Same thing with the 26 in strength. All right, last one. Taking this regardless of what it is. That's good. That's great. If it's not, that's too bad. It is the Mummy Pack. What's our number going to be? 3, 24, agility, intelligence, stamina. So we got the worst possible one. It's done. Level 37 on the other hand. This one is going to be very not enticing to take the flat default. We'll definitely try and get something a little bit better on this. We got 4,400 to go. Let's not get too greedy. That's more experience than I thought I'd get for 2 zombies. We'll take it a little bit slower. Alright, now it's time for level up. These things are ridiculously good right now. These levels, you're getting a level up pretty much like every other fight. Later on, it's a couple battles in between. Alright. 314 strength, intelligence. Yeah, good enough. That one's reasonable. We got the intelligence point done. Go back to trying to get the HP on this one. This one's a guaranteed in point. Other than at the very beginning of the game, we have gotten an in point guaranteed basically every other level up. So you only need to force out 29 in points over the course of the game to get up to the maximum 99, and it's not that big of a deal if you are at the slightly lower breakpoint for your spells. Alright, 325 intelligence. Yep, you're looking for HP though. If there's a third night of virtual highlight, that would be probably a crime. I don't think you can show that on TV. .327 agility intelligence. At least 2 variations we're juggling here. Actually getting very close to where I don't even need to do the HP gains. What I do need to do, though, is tell you all about the wonderful work being done by the Agama Research Society. I don't know if you're aware of this, but the Agama Research Society works tirelessly 24/7, that's around the clock, uncovering new and exotic properties of the Agama. And thanks to all that hard work being done by the Agama Research Society, and of course thanks to viewers like you, we have just now determined that Agamas take longer to get places but the aesthetic is unmatched. Hopefully, that helps you in your own Agama journeys. Also, it's gonna get some HP. Nope. And our MP gains are ridiculous now that we have so much intelligence. It is going to skyrocket to 999 very quickly. Got a lot of strong MP gains combined with your intelligence score divided by 4, which is almost a strong MP gain on top of it. Well, HP occasionally goes up. It's got to be much, much slower for the guaranteed ones, and then a 1 in 8 chance for all the ones that are not guaranteed. Which we didn't pay any attention to it at all. I would be getting something like 7 of those additional gains. Might be enough. Alright, 326 intelligence. I think we've seen a lot of these already. Go ahead, check the off-tile ones. Alright, so this one's going to be the Argoyle. Argoyles, Mancats. I'd even say the Medusas are way easier on this version, thanks to not only skipping out on some of their best moves, but also giving the Black Mage so much magic defense to work with. Where will that go us, though? Here's any hit points. That 3 number is still kind of sad. I want to say, though, we are 1 stamina point away from getting a 4. That's going to be a big day. Can you imagine? 1 extra hit point per level up. It would be the biggest treat for Dan yet. Alright, Dan goes absolutely last. Does Dan get the intelligence point? That is the big question. And the strong HP. That's the strong HP, 24, 26 intelligence. We are done with 38. And we return to the Zombie D Mines. 39. This one is absolutely nothing guaranteed. We just take the intelligence point and call that a win. Evo 2342. Thank you much for resubscribing back for 93 months. Fabulous, fabulous here tonight. And I hope that this level up goes exactly as you wish. You might think you need to wish for a better level up. That one was pretty bad. We did get a strength point. So it was not completely a shutout, but it was very close. We'll drop some ethers in as well. We've been cranking away for a while on this grind. First time ethering up. You can see we have a lot of MP to work with. A lot of zombies and dragons to burn. Still not quite certain where they got all these dragon zombies. Strong HP gain. Luck. It's not terrible, to be honest. It's just not fantastic. Dan never fails to let you down. Sometimes Dan fails in ways that defy the imagination, and he fails so hard that because he has failed to fail, it can accidentally wrap around to success. And get an intelligence point. 39's done. 40 is going to be looking for HP. We get the intelligence point guaranteed. Def, welcome in. Thank you very much for the good wishes there. Alright, Zombie Jet Grind is proceeding according to plan. I think this is for a Black Mage and for a White Mage, probably better than the eye grind by a little bit. 23 HP. Strength, intelligence. You know what? We're going to take that one as well. 40 is done. Back looking for our intelligence point. 41 here. Actually, for Black Mage, probably the eye is very, very similar in terms of value. Not going to have any problems with killing the eye with your spells, even if you went there right away with these levels. But White Mage, definitely this was a really good grind. Only thing that we're missing in this grind so far is that I've not had a single Mega Elixir drop. That's a little bit concerning. 24-15. Intelligence, another level done. That is pretty good. $42 then. Be even, so it's got a guaranteed endpoint. We're looking for HP. Why not if we're getting lucky? $626 hit points. Not good enough to stop caring about HP. Gotta be pretty close. We have 5 more guaranteed HP gains. That's 125 points. And then we would be getting roughly on average. Well, eventually it's gonna be 4. 326 agility, intelligence, luck. I feel like we can be way less picky on HP. Let's take the decent level ups here. Whenever we see something that looks like it's got pretty good stat gains to it, I don't have to be as aggressive doing these. And especially if I could get a stamina, well, 2 stamina points at this point to get to the next break point on those. That would be pretty good. We're gonna have to worry about hitting 999. Yeah, we're getting right around that number. And this is assuming that you get decently good luck on your level ups to get the HP gains without really trying. But I don't want to be relying on decent luck with Dan. That is usually the source of many, many frustrations. All right, strong HP gain, no intelligence point. We'll skip that one. Stamina gain. If I got stamina in it, I would be pretty happy with that. But we would like to have something better. Stamina again. As those big HP gains, it is, for anything that is not guaranteed to level up, a 1 in 8 chance. Black Mage does not get a stamina gain guaranteed all that often. So you'll see those, like, it's not really a regularly spaced thing. But let's say like every 6 to 8 levels you get 1 guaranteed. And then in every block of 8 you'll get another one from random chance. That's about what you're looking at for the odds of it. And so what I'm looking at is how many more guaranteed ones are left. Are we guaranteed to get enough stamina points to be able to push us up to an additional HP per level as a flat base? And the answer to that is not very quickly. So when you look at the total that is guaranteed versus expected, it's, you know, starting to tilt over towards 999 expected, but not quite guaranteed. But we're really, really close. I want to say 2 more strong level ups, and we are guaranteed. 16 luck. The zombies have, now that we've done some extra fights off on the side. What'll be really nice is when we can guarantee that our intelligence is going to be good, or that we can switch back to being careful with the grinding at some point and be able to still hit the number. Because then I could just rip off like 30, 40 level ups in 25 minutes. You suddenly just rocket up when you have no need to filter out which level up is going to be a good one versus just taking on as much experience as you can get. Luck. Also, if at any point we were to get a make elixir, it would be very lovely. I can't believe we have not seen a single one so far. Hey, welcome into the Dragon Warrior Randomizer community. Hope you're all having a great time here tonight. We've got a solo Black Mage challenge going on. We have upgraded to an even higher difficulty character class. Looking to see if we can get some good level ups here with a 1 in 8 chance of getting the intelligence point that we would like to see. We will slowly creep up on our levels until we feel like we have the ability to hit the best stats that we can reasonably get as a Black Mage for the night. Another one with a luck point. What is the highest level attack spell you can get with a Black Mage? You can get Fire 3, Lit 3, and Ice 3. Red Mage caps out at Fire 3. You don't get the other elements at the highest tier. So Red Mage, you really are going to have a bunch of holes in your elemental repertoire. But since Black Mage gets all 3, you're doing very good, and with the incredibly high intelligence scores, you can probably get, even for things that are neutral to those elements, enough damage that you are killing the regular encounters. What's not going to work is the bosses, and that's why we still have to rely on fast and tempers and lots of power gloves. 316, and we lost our luck point. That's not good. Now the levels are even worse. I probably have no more room to squeeze in any fights before the level up happens. So at this point, if we want to shake up the RNG some more, the best strategy would be to take a fight, run away from it, so we can get some extra turns. And there's the strong HP gain and the intelligence. Well, now. The 1 in 64 odds of getting a really, really good level up, I think made that one a winner. Double zombie would be level up. Single zombie not. And as this is now an even level, we get the intelligence point guaranteed. I am pretty inclined to start skipping the HP gains. Just make sure that we get something decent here. Got the strong HP anyway. Intelligence and the stamina points. So we are now 1 away from the next stamina breakpoint. Getting that whopping 4 HP per turn. Another one we can squeeze in. 2 more zombies, in fact. We should be good to go with take another fight after this. And this one should just be intelligence. One more zombie is enough. We need one more zombie dragon. What? Alright, 45 guarantees agility, that's it. You get nothing else for free. And we get nothing else. Check on how our intelligence stats doing. I believe we got 27 more guaranteed points. So we should be closing in very, very quickly on max intelligence guaranteed. Ability stamina. Okay, interesting. So stamina point early. We need to get 9 more intelligence points over the remaining levels. I feel like we can probably let this ride. Take that one. Get our guaranteed intelligence point here. This one's a freebie. And if we only need 9 out of 27, I can be very, very aggressive at just taking any halfway decent level and look for the intelligence points when we can grab them. Nice, Matty Ice. Black Mage is a really fun character because they've got lots and lots of damage. The AoEs early is pretty big. As soon as you get past Bicky, which is kind of a challenge. Bicky is one of the hardest parts of this run. I got a +4. We got 208 more points off of the base level ups. Should be 125 points off of the strong level up. So I believe we are guaranteed for 999 now. And we'll count down our 9 intelligence points until we can just let loose on the leveling. Doctor, welcome in. And at a certain point, probably the thing that I'd most like to see is those Mega Elixirs. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot more 15 puzzle elixir grinding. I might even have to do 15 puzzle Mega Elixirs for at least a couple just to make sure we get a good enough total. I'll get 2 Mega Elixirs out of Temple of Fiends, 1 elixir and 1 X potion out of the Cardia Islands. So I got 4 heals from stuff coming up. We've got 4 so far. Strength, stamina now. We'll give it a couple tries for the endpoint. I think at this stage it's worth at least 2 or 3 minutes on each level up to see if we can squeeze out those endpoints early. Otherwise, once you get to the very end and just have to have an endpoint and you can't miss anymore, it gets a lot rougher. Strength, stamina, luck. The strength point's guaranteed. Everything else that is random. Agility, stamina. We do have some pretty good level ups here. I would one day in the distant future get my HP gain level as high as 5. Those will be big days for Dan. Strong MP gain and luck. At this point, strong MP gains are completely worthless. Luck is not as bad as strength. There's at least some situations where luck points could make a difference, whereas strength is like a very tiny fraction of 1 power glove use. Alright, we're gonna give it 20 more seconds. After 6 hours, we're gonna take the best level up that we see here. With a reasonable number of turns. Strong HP gain, strength, stamina. Alright, pass it on the endpoint there. Look, slightly affects spell damage. Yeah, you'll have very, very tiny variances based on luck. Mostly I care about luck for the ability to get critical hits and to evade things. But it's very low on the list. Intelligence is your #1 property as a Black Mage. And yeah, 99 is the max. 98 is the maximum multiplier that you get for it. So if you miss 1 intelligence point at the end, that's not a big deal. Right now we're at 65. So we're actually going to be 1 away from a multiplier here coming up. 66 and 82 are on the way to 98. We're getting very, very close on those. And yes, 48 had a guaranteed strong HP and intelligence points, so that one was completely free. There's not many freebies left. $49 on the hand. Guarantees absolutely nothing. I don't think we're using up that many spell points here. We're just gaining maximum MP so fast it looks like I have to use a whole bunch of ethers. This happens a lot when you do the eye grind in speedruns, is you go in there, you've got like 100 MP, and you come out there and your max MP is like 600. Suddenly there's a big change. All right, 417, there's the intelligence point, taking that. 49's done, we got one of our non-guaranteed endpoints. 50 is going to be guaranteed. This we can do whatever. And if you'll be really fussy, now that you don't need the HP to go up, you can try and force out an agility point or whatever other property that you like, but I feel pretty confident that, based on how our other character classes have gone, we should be comfortably on track for killing chaos. Just going to require a lot of healing items. Also going to need to not leave the dungeon. I was so offended by the lack of Mega Elixirs that I couldn't stay there for 1 moment longer. It happens. Okay, so we got 4 more zombies to go. And we're back into the leveling range. What can sometimes make it confusing is the off-tile encounters gotta then figure out how many more zombies you have to get back to lined up on your level ups. This looks correct. Yeah, 220 to go. We've got it as close as you can shave it. And then we'll get our intelligence point here. Level 50 is done. No bonus stats. I'm impressed we've almost burned through the regular potions. You don't really take a lot of damage once you get fast enough to go before the zombies consistently. And for other character classes, I feel like by level 50 you were already outspeeding these things. With the Black Mage, a couple of times we're trailing behind. I think once we get things all neatly buttoned up here, then we can go over to the ice cave, get that complete. There will be a complimentary ice cave grind versus the island that will be a little bit simpler than the zombies. Don't have to do nearly as much work since all the level ups have more or less been smoothed out for hitting 99. At that point, you just kind of grind till you hit max level and then go beat some fiends. Alright, strong HP gains stamina. We'll take it. The stamina points are nice. I think I've got 8 non-guaranteed endpoints to get here with the remaining levels. Black Mage likes to not get stats. Yeah, the Black Mage doesn't really have a lot of good guaranteed ones. Which makes sense that your combat stats are going to be pretty atrociously bad. So strength and stamina, and to a large extent agility, get a big hit. I think luck is, other than on the Thief, pretty consistently flat for most character classes. Alright, 52 should be guaranteed ends. So we just take this one. There we go, intelligence gained. Alright, we're at 68 now, so we need 31 more points. $18 of them are guaranteed, so I need to get 13 non-guaranteed points, it looks like. A little bit more than I was anticipating, but that is probably reasonable. Might have to dial back the aggressive level-ups a bit. At least until we can knock that number down to single digits. Is that correct? Hang on. Now we get 23 more guaranteed points. Okay, so we only have 8 more points to farm out. This is totally fine. I was almost positive that I was below 10 already. And we're not quite at the point where we would be on average going to get it, but we are close to that mark now. So we'll give it a couple minutes to see if we get the int point here. Right now we've got 3 on average to get lucky on, to leave me 5 short. Now that leaves me feeling pretty good about level 53. Got another int point in. And a strong HP gain, which is completely irrelevant at this point. Alright, 54 guaranteed int, so this one is solid. After that happening for pretty much the entirety of the previous character class challenges and most of the Black Mage's early start, we have, in the last couple levels, gotten a very surprising number of non-guaranteed HP and intelligence gains at the same time. Almost all of it after HP was relevant. So now our 999 HP is going to happen much sooner than anticipated. Our MP, of course, is about to hit 999, probably on this next level up. So it's got very little work left to do. That is true. We have still not seen a single Mega Elixir drop, including all the resets. Which means that there's more chances on average than normal to get Mega Elixirs. But no, Dan, not a single one. Definitely the worst that we have seen for Mega Elixirs. Almost everyone else has gotten, in this time, like 3 Mega Elixirs. I think it's actually a little bit above average, but I'm willing to take it. I want to say very few have gone past level 60 in the Zombie D grind. It's damn. Remains persistently Mega Elixir free. One more. So we got our end point here. Nope. I think by this point we were taking just a handful of tries at it before moving on for the level ups. 4 Mega Elixirs. I would also take one of those. If they really wanted to, I'd take 2. Just to be blunt. But a jelly. I will try the off-tile encounter. See if we get a lucky break right off the bat. If not, we might just declare 55 a bust. And that's so far not to look too promising. Jelly. One more try with the dragons. Let's see if this one's better. The double, which we have not been seeing many of. So it's probably new. Agility, stamina, you know what? I'll take the extra stamina point. Very small amounts of damage reduction. And that means we're on 56. This one's guaranteed for intelligence, so we're good there. 57, back to rolling the dice. And then I will assess how we're doing after, let's say, level 60. Go and crunch the numbers again. I think I've gotten just a handful of endpoints that were not guaranteed. Probably a good time to assess if we are done with our zombie dragon grind. Alright, 999 MP is finished. We easily cruise in with our HP. Yeah, really into the last thing to go. $57. Needed 2 zombies. That's fine. We'll be now needing 1 zombie. We need this particular one. Nope, that is pretty bad. So now that we get to 999 MP, I no longer get even an MP up number. Not even telling me that my MP increased by 0. So we will be dwindling down on our bad level ups until there's just nothing displayed. Intelligence point, 57's done. One point closer. There's another reason for doing the grind here is that it's a bit easier to get a couple different variations of this zombie fight and the off-tile encounters compared to Ice Cave, where you get a better amount of XP per second and the average is much more consistent. But if you need stat points, it's not as good of a spot to get them. There's our intelligence and stamina point. It is done. I'm going to be checking at level 60 Storyteller Tiamat to see if we are basically all buttoned up for our int. In which case we will stop at 60. If we go a little bit past it, then probably at this point we could just roll the dice and hit 99 without really trying. But we can also just make certain that we are 100% guaranteed to make it there. The 2% odds, I believe it's 1% Professor ATN. Alright, that is not gonna level us. If you're Black Mage, a decent melee character, you just grind for those stats. You would have a couple of other issues. One is that you just can't equip anything good. So that's going to be a bit of a drawback. And another major problem is that you're going to have very little in the way of defense. Which means that the slower approach of meleeing things down is going to be tougher to make work. Mages kind of rely on either killing things very, very fast or they die very, very fast. There's not a lot in between. Well, NES, we kind of can't really do anything for improving our spellcasting. So yeah, you can work on being a better melee character, that's about it. And you're never going to be nearly as good on NES as the other classes because there you don't have your accuracy score bonuses, maxing things out very easily for you. And you also have all of the other downsides, like bad HP, even with perfectly optimized levels. Black Mage HP is not hitting 999 ever. Your gear is going to be bad for both weapons and armor. And Black Mage on NES is going to have way worse magic defense. So a fighter is just superior in like every aspect. only big gain is that Black Mage gets the fast spell on an NES, and here that's not even the case because you get the fast spell on anybody by doing the 15 puzzle. I didn't even have the incentives. Alright, agility and a strong HP. That is amusing, but not what we need. Get up to 620. Agility. Level 60 is going to be another guaranteed endpoint. I think at that point I get 18 guaranteed points for the rest of the game. 19? This would be 19 more guaranteed points. So I think we'd be very, very close to maxing it guaranteed. Here. There's 620, so we're going to take this or else. So it better be good. Stamina luck, alright. Well, that's what we got for 59. Missed the endpoint there. 60 guaranteed. And we're going to do our assessment. Hopefully it comes out positive. Much harder these challenges as well. Class changing pretty massively in some regards. Like you have way less in the way of equipment options. But ultimately, all of these character classes are going to be very well equipped to be able to solve chaos. Because you can get missing pieces from your equipment set or from your support abilities very easily. Level 60, we're at 74 int. So that means I need to force out 6 or 7 more int points. I think it is 6 more int points forced. Out of 20 tries. So not quite even predicted by average. On average, you get 2.5. But not that far away. As you can see, our other scores are abysmal. 14 strength, 16 agility, 17 stamina at level 60, which is just awful across the board. Which is why our attack is 18. But I think this is good enough here. We're going to call Ordeal's done. And we're going to ask for a refund because I got absolutely no Mega Elixirs. Not a single one in that trip. Well, that's kind of sad. Hey, Travis, welcome in. Hope you're doing well here tonight. How did Dan get so smart? If Dan was so smart, he probably would not be fighting Sahags right now. And going last. We'll make Elixir drop odds, I believe 1%, which means that we should, on average, for a grind of that size, be getting like 3 or 4 Mega Elixirs. Given the number of resets. If you didn't do any resets there, it would probably be 2 or 3 for the average. Yes, this does imply that Dan is significantly below average. Which is something that I think we already know. Forget anything? Probably not. I feel like my inventory is already filled with way too much junk. rid of the Lit 2 spell. Don't need that thing anymore. Potions and ethers on the hand. Those we need a bunch of. So maxed out there. We're gonna max these out again. Alright, stuff to clean up. Never gonna need eye drops, or echo grass, or gold needles. We'll keep one remedy in case of accidents. I shouldn't expect to ever use that. So it can go, so the bracelet can go. Yes, we'll keep the turbo ethers. They're not very good, but we'll have them. Burmese shoes, never need those. Get rid of that. Okay, looking good there. And I think it's time. We're beginning to get a little bit nicer. Yes, he's already lovely. But I feel like he could be even better. Let's lore for why Dan's friends died. It is bold of you to assume that these are Dan's friends. They might just be dead bodies he found on the way. Ordinary, they still a character. Things like paralysis is very scary by this point. Dan's extraordinarily high magic defense, more or less keeping us safe, and then once we get up to the northern regions and are able to pick up a ribbon, we'll be really, really secure, because unlike the NES version, this version does not have special critical values where you can get a 3 in 56 chance of getting hit by elemental attacks, even if you are resistant to them. It is just a flat-out immunity, which is kind of bustedly good for being able to just shrug off a lot of classes of moves. Unlike the end, this canoe is accurately represented. Dan is doing all the rowing himself. There is nobody around to help. There's nobody in this entire ice cave that can stop us. Well, they will probably try. I don't know decently about the levels of the dungeons. It is going to be pretty breezy going through until we get to the Sea Shrine. For whatever reason, Sea Shrine's got a massive jump in morale scores, even better morale than the monsters in Mirage Tower. You will have a stretch again where things will actually stick around for the fights. You hated this cave when you were a kid. It is really terrible in the NES version, just trying to struggle through all of the really horrible encounters. NES is either a matter of getting very, very leveled up so that you are just able to shrug off most of the dangerous things. Getting very, very lucky, which takes a long time and a lot of tries, or manipulations, which is basically impossible to find on your own. So NES is brutal through here. Save Anywhere for the remakes, though, kind of takes the challenge out of it, because yes, you're still going to get the really horrible fights, but you could just reload and try again. So it's not nearly as big of a deal for going through all the bad encounters. It's just whenever you hit the trap tiles. And one particular one is the one that's going to be downstairs, which is the big group of undead, similar to this. But you have to go through it twice. And that one is the one that usually is a bit sticky for people. At these levels, so we should be totally fine. Emphasis on the should. Gotta get ribbon, gold bracelet, pro cape, pro ring. Well, opal bracelet instead of gold bracelet. But basically the idea. I'm just gonna grab some money. I probably don't need it. We don't get nearly as much money from the zombie Ds as you do if you did a pure eye grind. But I think based on our intelligence scores, we are probably going to want to keep around a couple of eyes on the side just to flex a few more points here. Yeah, the ability to sprint makes it in some ways less frustrating. The only downside is because you get so many encounters so frequently in these dungeons. With sprint turn on, where you're covering more tiles per second, the time between encounters shrinks down by half. So, as you can see, we are in a fight like every 5 seconds. Sometimes more often. Here. We sell the ice shield off. Black Mage is like a minorly more expensive character than the other mages have been. Just because we have to buy things like Lit 3 and Ice 3 and probably a lot of potions. Black Mage is going to be chugging through a higher quantity of consumable items going through areas. But it should not be a problem to be able to get whatever we are going to need for the rest of the game here. Let's get going. 61 right now. First question is, how hard can Dan punch the eye? 21. That is not very hard. The eye is worth a bit more than the zombie dragons. This is a very, very good fight. The eye clocking in at 1 1/3 Agamas of experience. One of your best grinds. If you can do this very efficiently, which is why it shows up as an eye grind in pretty much every character class on NS at this point. It used to just be a thing for the remakes, and then noticing just how much better the experience was than a lot of the alternatives, it's like, all right, why don't we just do the eye grind in every version of the game? Except for the Pacer Master, because he only fighted eye once in that, as they've taken out trap tiles. A tragic, tragic shame. He might be called an evil eye, but really, he's more misunderstood than anything else. For these odd levels, what I like to do is give it 2 tries at the endpoint. That way we're at least improving our chances at getting the intelligence to 99 without having to do shenanigans. Nope. We'll see if we get the same result again. Maybe I'll do 3. Let's give it best of 3 for the levels. That was a pretty bad one. We're here until level 99. I would like to go until we have our intelligence points guaranteed to hit 99. Which hopefully is a lot before we're at level 99. Like if you're down to the last one, you must roll the endpoint. It can be frustrating. There we go. In stamina, that one was successful. We're only a couple points away from being able to just cruise to the end. The last time I did a check-in on it, we were about 3.5 points off just from an average performance to hit 99. So pretty close. If we're at average performance to hit, I'd be probably okay with letting things slide up until 90. If we are guaranteed it, then you just go whatever and just take the rest of the fights as you walk around places. Like, we'll probably get easily 10 level ups going through the rest of the game for the dungeons. Even if we, like, run away from encounters that are not worth a lot of experience, rather than taking everything. I use the stare skill. The funny thing is, in this version of the game, all of the eye's skills are called stare. It uses stare, 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 and stare. For some reason, he does not stare. Because he's polite. One more that will do it. Once again, best of 3 for the level up. I'll do my assessment at level 70 to see if we are on the proper pace for things. Try number 1 is agility intelligence. Okay, well there's another one for the endpoint. Now we're definitely very close to being able to just cruise and take the average results. Been a good pair right there. Right, even one just guaranteed int. Yeah, it just runs away. Well, a lot of monsters will run away, but we are fast enough that if we want to kill them, we can. That's the nice part. Violence is always an option. There's a level up. 2 eyes plus. And see where we are lined up for the next best of 3. I don't know if the Black Mage is beating the White Mage's time, but it actually could be kind of close. So once again, I'm going to be surprised at how quickly these character classes get done solo. Until we get to the Thief, and then I will not be surprised. I will be horrified. Alright, 67. What classes we finished so far? So we did the Fighter first, then the Black Belt, Red Mage, White Mage. This is Black Mage, and that means Thief is the only one left once this is done. We're at 5 out of 6 here. Thief will be next weekend. Strength intelligence point done. 67 is a hit. We are getting super good luck with these endpoints. It has been 2 or 3 tries for the last 3 of these after a pretty solid stretch in the end of the zombie grind where we were just getting nothing. It only furthers our conclusion that those zombie dragons were probably completely defective. So they've got to take 3 nights. Well, I've been incorrect in guessing the length for all 5 character classes so far. So yeah, we'll go with 3 nights. Done. One more pair here, we'll get our level assessment done to calculate out our endpoints. Feel like we might be in the ready to go category. A big change from level 60. To be class changing to a ninja, that would be cheating. Now, once we start with the thief, there's no turning back. We'll all be locked in a room together until that thief beats chaos. Alright, best of 3. Try number 1. Strength, agility, intelligence, luck. That is phenomenally good for level up. Alright, 70 is going to be another freebie, so we have made it to our target level with this. A strong HP gain will hit 999. Otherwise, it's in level 71. We're really, really close to maxing out HP. Quite a bit later than the other character class. I think the previous latest one has been like level 60. This was a 201. Welcome in. Thank you much for the good wishes and definitely enjoy our solo Black Mage challenge. It's probably got about 2 hours left to go. And then we get to have the bonus stream. Alright, agility, intelligence, stamina. 70 is done. We got 995 for our HP score. Let's look at the numbers. 83 endpoints. So we have hit the 82 breakpoint. Next one is going to be at 98. I have 14 guaranteed endpoints, which means we need 2 endpoints in 15 non-guaranteed levels. That is just very slightly better than the average chance. So I think if we force out those 2 points here, we are going to be looking very, very good. On custom character classes, the character classes that are custom are way, way too powerful. We need classes that are abysmally bad to make things more extreme. And with the thief, I think we have found an excellent source of them. There we go. I think very, very rarely it's going to be 3 eyes for level up instead of the normal 4. Every time I gotta be checking to see if it's wrapped around to the next one. Alright, 71, best of 3. We're looking for 2 more endpoints on the odd level ups. We get one here. Nope. 1 down, 2 more tries. Next try is strength again. All right, final try on it. Strength is guaranteed. So getting a strength point means that we actually got nothing. Getting this. Do we get our intelligence point? Stamina. All right. 71 was not it. We still have a bunch of tries, though, before we are going to declare intelligence bankruptcy. And again, in theory, you could stop at 98, because that's your last Black Mage breakpoint. It would only matter for 99, I think, if you wanted to use the heal staff. And it would be a very, very tiny amount. It'd be hard to get to 999 hit points. I spent a lot of time in the early game getting the strong HP gains. Each time I get one of those is essentially increasing my HP by like 21 to 23. So it's a pretty significant number. If you get, 20 of those that are not guaranteed, that's nearly half of the HP that you need. Goes up really fast. Yeah, stamina helps a lot for the NES version, where you cannot manipulate out the strong HP gains. And it's nice in this one, but I didn't really go for it. Maybe I should have. Just looking at, in hindsight, the stamina has more enduring value. And for the first maybe quarter of the game, the stamina points are probably roughly equal to a strong HP gain level up. But that'll be good information for future playthroughs. It's easier to see the impact of the strong HP gains, and it helps you with a couple of the early bosses. So things like Garland, the Pirates, the Wizards, to some extent Astos, all have a pretty hard check on your minimum HP score, which stamina points do not help you towards quite fast enough. Dangelope, he got nothing. Now we're talking about the really dry ones. 2 more tries. Got the intelligence point. 1 point to go. Closing in on it. 75 could be it. Level 74, and the eye is still sometimes going first. This Black Mage is super slow. Gonna grind here to 99. No, I'm gonna probably go until about level 90 or so. Once we have the int points guaranteed, I could just rip through the remaining ones in a couple minutes. If I stop at 90, then I'll kind of naturally hit 99 from just the rest of the game's progress. So I don't have to go to 99 right away. It would be wasting all that experience from going through Sea Shrine and Sky Castle, and you can even kind of count Temple of Fiends because you can get the stuff back that you are missing out on through potions and such. It's a lot less of an important thing. I don't need the 98 int breakpoint to be able to beat Carry. Same thing, Wizard. Yep, solo Black Mage, no class change. We've done all the other character classes, no class change as well. The last one after this is going to be the Thief. It's going to be the hardest one by a pretty large margin. Everybody else at least has something good going for them, but the Thief... no, nothing. Okay, Redemption Spirit will come in. Agility. All right, 2 more tries. Our level 75 going for our in-point. Agility is guaranteed. So if you see agility, that means we got nothing. Nothing again. One more try. Did we get? Nope. All right. 75 is the best. 77 is our next chance to get intelligence onto the max out track. Cool. 76 should be actually really good. Intelligence, stamina, and luck all guaranteed. Every even level up is guaranteed to have the points, so we are already assuming that we get every single one of those. And then for odd level ups, you are going to have a 1 in 8 chance. So I could, at this point, pretty safely just say, we're going to roll the dice, take whatever we get. And it would be pretty improbable that we did not get 1 point out of the last 11 or so odd level ups. But this way we are being super safe. And I'm going until I have a guarantee just from my remaining even level ups that we are going to. And as you kind of tick closer and closer, you've got fewer of the odd level ups anyway, so you are expecting that value to go down. Like the last time we checked that, it was like, all right, we're expecting 2 points from that, which is not really that big of a contribution. So you might as well just go until you have the exact number anyway. Very slightly less than 1 eye here. We've got 3 chances at this endpoint. 77. Nope. That was a 0. It would really enhance the experience if, like, the Dragon Way randomizer just printed out that you got +0 to all stats, to rub in the fact that you're getting absolutely nothing. Or you might get an intelligence point, and you might be good here. So 88 int, that's going to be the break point. We're 82 out of the way. 98 is the next one. We have 11 points to max. And I'm pretty certain that 78 to 98 is going to be those 11 points. At this point, we are going to be going hard on this eye grind. No need to stop or slow down in the slightest. It is pure, unrelenting murders. About 40 eyes to hit level 90. The very first character class, this really surprised me, because I was thinking, oh, yeah, you get a lot of experience from the eye. But it's still a little while per level up on the NES version. Like, you go in there, you do like 100 eyes in like 30, 40 minutes, and you get 10 levels. And for the NES version, that's incredible. Like, getting those high levels in, 3 minutes, it's such a nice experience compared to the typical grind where you're getting a level up in like 10, 15 minutes. And then going into GBA and doing the same eye grind, where it's a little bit faster for the battle loading in and out. You're getting just that tiny bit faster for walking back and forth and things. The experience is a bit higher, and it's like, all right, it's a level up like less than a minute. And for a character that's super fast and doesn't need these spell animations, so like a fighter just swinging a sword, it is probably 2 level ups every minute. So when I initially got here with the fighter doing the eye grind up to, like level 90, I'm thinking it's going to be, good 2-3 hours and then get on with the rest of the game, and we've finished the entire game in like 90 minutes. Black Mage, Red Mage, White Mage are all going to be a bit slower because they have to do these long animations, which is probably more than half the time of the fight, just watching this fire spell come down. So if you ever played the PlayStation Portable version, see the speedruns of it. You get a staff that casts the nuke spell in the first dungeon, which is ridiculously broken. But you don't use it all that often, because the nuke spell animation is even slower than the second tier spell, so if it is possible to kill an enemy with a second tier spell, you do that instead. Just to save a little bit of time. An intelligence point there. I'm pretty sure that was an even level up. I think that was getting up to about 80 or so. Weird seeing the eye actually taking turns. That never has happened in any of the other character classes. And it probably means that I should plan on Dan going last in the round very consistently versus Chaos. So if we need to heal, it is going to be a lot more challenging to reactively heal, and we might have to be more reliant on planning out pre-heals. Kind of sucks. It means you need a lot more healing items. Alright, there's 81 done. Go ahead and check our numbers. So at 90 int, be at 96 at level 90, guaranteed. And for above that, we'll be definitely reaping the rewards. I think we got another random endpoint in the 10 level stretch there. Because I want to say we were previously going to get the endpoint done at 98. And now it's kind of cranked down to 94, 96. Yeah, it's actually a really smart technique doing the eyes one at a time. If they all came at once and we just used one spell to kill them, it would be way more efficient. This way, they can drain our MP down. And if we didn't have 99 ethers, which is another 4,950 MP, then, maybe we'd be in some trouble. These scissors are kind of busted. Also, technically, we've got a stack of elixirs, so that's like another 5,000 MP. Just in case we need it. The 83, Dan got absolutely nothing. winner of the eye here. I think the real winner is Phil. Phil gets to get some really good nap time in. You can tell these Black Mages must be extremely tired because they are sleeping on a cold, hard bed of ice. That's supposed to be an undead beholder. The eye is a regular beholder. If you play the Famicom version, it is literally a beholder. And they had to remove that graphic from every other version of the game. So even by the US release time, it was gone. And it was not put back in any remakes. So it's exclusive to the Famicom version for the beholder graphic. And then the Phantom is an undead beholder that you fight in Temple of Fanes. Really cool graphic. It's kind of sad that they never put it back because by this point you can pretty much get away with really pushing the boundaries on a lot of things. I think at the time in the late 1980s it was a much more heavily litigated thing, with TRS especially being really defensive about the property for Dungeons and Dragons. Like, it was actively appearing in a lot of video game series. They're probably making a lot of license fees out of those. And Pharmacy 1 is, at its core, basically a Dungeons & Dragons campaign. With a very, very thin veneer on top. Like, this is before Chocobos and Moogles or anything. It's just Dungeons & Dragons, that's it. All that other stuff got added in later. So they were probably pretty squeamish about attracting any undue attention when they were going into the market, where they would be more likely to be perceived as infringing, whereas for the Japanese audience, which isn't going to have the same kind of oversight on it by the US companies, it was probably not a big deal. Yeah, sorcerers are mind flayers, and the wizards are pisco demons, which is kind of like the non-mind flaring servants of the mind flayers. Yeah, Astos is the Dark Elf. We got the drow in there. Of course, your main character classes are all mostly based off of Dungeons & Dragons. The spell system is entirely Dungeons & Dragons with a thin veneer here. So our third tier fire spell that we're casting here with AoEs is Fireball. We're getting pretty close. All right, 3 levels to go. And yes, the Vorpal Sword, a great example of how some dungeon masters put in absolute garbage into their game just to fool the players. Time here. We got that time it took the fighter to kill Chaos while we were in the zombie grind. We're just now hitting the time that the Black Belt took to kill Chaos. About 30 minutes from now is going to be the time for the Red Mage. About 90 minutes for the White Mage time, and I think it's going to be pretty tough for the Black Mage to finish in 90 minutes. I mean, we're going to do our best here, but I think it's going to be more like 2 hours. Really depends on how much farming I need to do for the recovery items. That's kind of a big unknown right now. But it's actually not that uncommon for, in the Japanese market around this time, to have a lot of things basically be novelized Dungeons and Dragons campaigns. Like, that's how Lotus started. It's my guess about how a lot of the Final Fantasy design process started. And you can actually find, like, people basically writing down their campaign experiences into either, like, a novel form or in some kind of story form to be able to share it with others. Which is basically the 1980s version of, like, Critical Role and things. So it's neat that that has kind of continued for 40 years. And people still do it. Just with cameras. Alright, level 90 is done. We're at 96 int, which means we are guaranteed to finish our intelligence at 96. So I guess I just got one extra int point that entire time. Which is not bad. We are finishing 2 levels earlier than planned. We'll have our breakpoint done at 94 guaranteed. Our other stats are really, really horrible. And for a Black Mage, that's pretty much what you should expect. That we are pushing up. Saving our game, and we are going to get the airship picked up. Let's start running from this point on. Yeah, by running, I mean murdering everything that will stop us. And some things that wouldn't. There's a lot of good ideas for Dungeons and Dragons, but Thaco was not one of them. A lot of the earliest Dungeons and Dragons just kind of breaks down statistically in very, very bad ways outside of like a limited, narrow range of tested things. Which is kind of like why all of the good Dungeons and Dragons campaigns for most of the 1980s, 1990s, and even like into the 2000s is kind of like not level 1, because level 1 really sucks. You've got no abilities, everybody's really uninteresting. But by the time you're like level 15, it gets uninteresting in a different way. And so you just have to like stay that line in between. Where somewhere around like level 3 to like level 10 is really, really good. Original Baldur's Gate almost got it. Like if they had started at level, even like level 2 instead of level 1, you'd have had a nice beginning to Baldur's Gate 1, taking up to like level 7 or so, into Baldur's Gate 2, and the main part of Baldur's Gate 2 works really well, and then it just kind of slowly starts going out of control, especially in the expansion to it. But you'll kind of like all of those campaign type games are like in that sweet spot levels for the most part, where things pretty much kind of work as expected. Yeah, in the era when there was different amounts of experience points per character class, some character classes got really hosed because they didn't get leveled up for a long time. Or you had like the druid class, which leveled up to 13 and then just stopped for the rest of time. And then you jump from like 13 to 14 when everyone else is going to like level 20. So things were really, really busted. I've not quite explained here, is how the airship is flying before all the rotors start up. I think those are just decorative. Let's go. And our brand new airship, even though we are not going to class change, I will go up to the Cardia Islands at some point. There's a few items that will give me full recovers there that I can grab from the boxes. But number one thing I'm going to grab here is going to be the bottle. And then number two is going to be these things that appear afterwards, which these can be used in combat as buffs. Speed drinks will increase my attacks per round. Protect drinks increases my defense. And I don't think I ever need any strength tonics, but I'm going to put those on there anyway because money is kind of relevant. Strength tonics should be totally unnecessary with the Power Glove. Giant tonics. The only thing that Dan is a giant of is a giant failure. But at least he's got Ice 3. That's pretty nice. We also got the Pro Ring, which will replace our gloves. That's out of there. What else are we getting rid of here? Gloves are gone. I think that might be it. Cap can go once we get the ribbon out of Waterfall. I think I can get regular potions here. Oh, look at these. There we go. Get those restocked. Maybe a couple of houses so we can get our HP and MP back before dungeons. That should be enough for the entire game. We find the wonderful item deep in the lake. The Oxyl. Which has in no circumstances ever been explained exactly what it is. Alright, that's done. Let's get the items out of here. We get a cat claws. Tragically, Black Mage cannot equip the cat claw. Or the Vorpal sword, which you gotta be thankful for something. Extra hold areas because we've got the bonus dungeons to contend with those. Bonus dungeons are, at this point, doable for Pharmacy 3 and Pharmacy 4, Pharmacy 5 and 6 bonus dungeons. I guess at those that we are, we'd be pretty fine. It'd just be nice to get that ribbon before you went into those. But you're more or less getting the main things you need done here. Dry Ether. Here was the good one. Thought we had an X potion somewhere. Oh, I think that one is over here. Dry Ether is a full MP recover, which has very little value because for the Black Mage, you're never running out of MP. There we go. X potion picked up. The HP recovers are much, much more important as you will lose your HP extremely quickly as a Black Mage. Let's go. Get the waterfall. We're going to do the Sea Shrine next. So Kraken before carry. It pretty much never really makes sense for any of these solo characters to prioritize fighting carry, since there's nothing in the dungeon that you want to have. Gear-wise, you're going to be getting better stuff pretty easily beforehand. So you might as well just wait until you are slightly more powerful, so it's a shorter fight. I tried the Final Fantasy 1 PSP randomizer. I haven't done the PSP randomizer. I have played the NES randomizer, of course, a whole bunch. The GBA's got a randomizer as well. We tried that out a long time ago. Back in the day when it was not clear which randomizers were going to be supported for the long term. And GBA was working, but it was kind of broken. Like, you had to have not really a good sensible location for where items got moved around to, so it was pretty chaotic and occasionally confusing. But I think that because the NES randomizer ended up just attracting the lion's share of attention and got the most community support over the years, that it ended up just being the one that people rallied behind. Like, it takes a lot of work to be able to support that kind of effort, where not only do you have the problem of making certain that it functions on all different kinds of configurations of people playing with emulators or with flash cartridges or things, but then also kind of the interest in community features and things that people want to add in versus what you can reasonably support long term can often cause a lot of conflicts. Ribbon, we're going to grab the defense sword as well. Sadly, the wizard staff will not be required here. Well, I might get it anyway, just because it'd be funny versus carry. Yeah, we probably don't need it. Let's put that up there. So we got our defense sword. Let's put our ribbon on Dan. The wizard staff has slightly more interest in the remakes because, unlike NES Final Fantasy, where the confused enemies just cast a dummy version of Fire 1. So anything that is weak to fire is actually pretty good damage, and things that are not weak to fire is pretty weak. So things like the carry fight, you know, carry is going to be doing 7 damage with that. It's not super exciting, other than carry loses her turn. In the remakes, they actually kind of have the confused enemy attack. So carry is doing, 60, 70 damage. It's actually a viable way of winning that fight without spending 1,000 turns on it, if you have, like, nothing else that's gonna work. Like, if you wanted to beat carry with a white mage, and for whatever reason you couldn't get the power glove or something, then the wizard staff would kind of be viable. I'm going to save those for exiting out of Temple of Fiends. It looks like we are going to have time for bonus dungeons post-chaos. Based on our pace so far, it's pretty probable that it's going to be at least an hour or so bonus dungeon, which should be enough time for one of the mid-sized ones. I don't think we're going to be able to get like a double Final Fantasy V bonus dungeon based on just past times, but we'll get something. I mean, it looks to me to make a lot. I will definitely say that doing both of the bosses, even if we had the time, would be really rough. given that we are going to be more or less just using up all of our resources in a single fight. Go into the Sea Shrine here. By defeating the spooky Ghost Mermaid. If you were being haunted by spooky mermaids, would you get into a barrel? I believe that that would be pretty foolish, which explains why that's Dan's strategy. Let's see if I remember to pick up the mage staff on the next floor. I may have had some issues in previous runs remembering to get the mage staff. But I'd say odds at least 50% that I will not forget in the next 30 seconds. $92 done. So good seeing those damage numbers. We'll get a little tiny final boost. This is how much damage the White Mage was doing at the end. We got to the level, or the 82 intelligence breakpoint. This will be the first time hitting the 98 intelligence breakpoint in one of these playthroughs. And I imagine it's not going to be a really massive dramatic improvement. You're getting essentially a linear increase on each of the breakpoints. So at this point, you're at breakpoint number 9. The relative percentage is small. But it should put these Lit 2s up at like close to 500. With these spooky ghosts. Into the flaming ashes. Goodbye, ghosts. You will not be missed. Got our opal bracelet. Cash is looking pretty good. I don't think I need to pick up any of the other opal items here. Go back. And snag. The slab. Getting into the barrel to escape the spooky ghost. I think if the spooky ghost mermaid is the one telling you to get to the barrel, but that is probably not a good place to hide. But that's just my impression. Gonna last axe. Did I get the mage staff? Yes, I did manage to get the mage staff. Somewhat unexpectedly. At last, our Fire 2 spell is no longer required. Ice 2 will be the last one to get rid of. That one is not until we get to Sky Castle for the black shirt. And coming up on the start of the Chaos fight for solo Red Mage here. Red Mage did not have to do nearly as much work on level optimization Got up to 50 int on Red Mage, which is very, very good for Red Mage. They typically do not get a lot of intelligence points, despite the fact that they really need it for most of their moves. But 50 was enough to get pretty reasonable amounts of healing off of Cure 3. And if you can do that as a Red Mage, you are gonna just cruise through the boss fights. You already have enough sturdiness to survive a couple rounds. You don't really need your attack spells all that much. You got Fast, you got Temper, you got a Power Glove. Cure 3, that is all the pieces complete. Red Mage was the one that at first kind of realized, oh, it's going to be a little bit easier than anticipated for a lot of these character classes. Maybe not easy for Dan. But we never said it was going to be. Where's that main stuff up here? Probably going to use that thing a lot. At this point, let's put the high potions up here. I don't think I've used an antidote in a very, very long time. But we got them, just in case. After Dan explained there was an accident. A tragic, tragic accident. And one for which we will be getting our much-deserved revenge. Kind of funny how little we actually need the third tier spells. I thought they'd be kind of pretty important as a Black Mage, but you're doing so much damage to the second tier ones that what are you going to kill that is not going to take care of? But one day. Maybe even at the end of this dungeon. Should the encounters get noodly enough. After that, the 3 spell could do some really big numbers. Level 96, this should be maximum intelligence score. We hit 99 there. Very soon, we're going to hit Kraken. What is that? Much like Bison. Glad you like some of those speedruns in the past. And I have tried the DS versions of Final Fantasy Legend 2 and 3. There's a Wondrous 1 version of the original Final Fantasy Legend. All 3 of which have never been officially released in English. But they have basically done remakes of the entire original Saga 1 through 3 trio. And they're really, really good. The thing I like most about the Legend 2 remake is that they let you see the monsters on the overworld, kind of like the Grandia games, and that lets you dodge the encounters. And you get a spell which makes you go fast. It is really, really fun. Nice, Depot. Hope you're having fun with Dragon Warrior 7. But I regret to inform you that, in fact, Dan is not the final boss. He's one more roadblock on the way. Enough of those ruses. Let's get the big guns going here. Lit 3 versus Kraken number 1. I think Lit 3 is going to be a winner. Probably didn't even need the defense swords, although it would have been kind of close depending on turn order. There we go. Kraken. Not as cracked up as we thought. 2 fiends down. Yeah, Dragon Warrior 7 can be ridiculously long, especially if you get distracted from the main story. Which you will probably be distracted from the main story very, very often. And that is like the number one reason why people don't finish that game is just how easy it is to get way, way off into the weeds. Sea Shrine complete. Next, we're going to be clobbering Carry. Level 97. Seems like a pretty high number. Pretty little with respect to the Elder Scrolls games. I think I still have not delivered the package in Morrowind. One day I'm going to do that. That Caius guy, though, sounds like he is kind of a jerk. There we go. Alright, so we're done with purchases. All we have to do is restock on supplies whenever required. We are almost done with pickups. We still need the Pro Cape out of Sky Castle. The Mazmune out of Temple of Fiends. That's going to be it for stuff to grab. Let me get rid of this fire spell. We got the mage staff to replace that. Let's make it down by heading up. Just like Sea Shrine, they take some liberties with the layout of this volcano. And in the original version of the game, it's because you are kind of limited on the number of unique maps that the game can keep track of. So to make the length of the game a little bit longer, they end up chopping up some of the maps into smaller pieces where you can't see the pieces because the walls are far enough away from each other that even looking at the far edge of the mountains, you're not going to notice the effect for it. And then to make the floors line up correctly, because it's still the direction of the floor going up or down to go to the appropriate area. You notice that it sometimes does things where you're going up and down repeatedly in order to give the illusion of a dungeon that's longer linearly. Earthworms, and hello. Bean number 3. We might be getting a little bit carried away here. So this time I don't have an elemental spell. I could just blast carry with Ice 3, which despite being resistant to it, is still going to probably do like 300 damage. But our preferred strategy, just to do a little bit of flexing, is going to be to stab carry with a silver knife. That means we're going to have to use the power glove a bit. One more ruse and we're probably pretty safe. They don't have healing. It's more of a slow leak in terms of HP over time. Put that power glove. It is all the way down there. Any better weapons besides the Masamune for the Black Mage? I don't think so. The fighter's the only one that gets a better weapon. At the end of the game, there's kind of a better weapon for the Red Mage, but not really. And generally for all of these really, really good ones, in order to get them, you have to be already strong enough to beat Chaos. Most of the post-game super bosses are like starting at Chaos levels of difficulty and generally much tougher. This is, I think, 4 power gloves? 20 hits. And only one of them needed to kill the boss. That's a lot of damage. I think Dan's level 99 now. That's the Black Mage celebrating. We still have no idea who those other Black Mages are. They're just following us. We unlock our next bonus dungeon. This is the Pharmacy 4 bonus dungeon, which is one of the better ones, as beating the half with Rubicante on floor 10 gets you a 4th ribbon. So for a lot of parties, it is really, really worth it to go and do that one. Even before the Pharmacy 3 ones, just so that you get elemental protection on everybody. All good there. Alright, so that's quest stuff I need to do. Going to be starting at the very unfortunate town of Belmont. But look, this will be the last time ever. Puts the maid staff on over my knife, come on. Yes, the maid staff is slightly more accurate, but come on, that's 2 points of damage I'm giving up. Nobody's doing that. The other thing I want to do is probably move this power glove up there because it's going to use way more often than these other things. Like that. Just move my base staff to a dumb spot. There we go. Get rid of that. Get rid of these. Don't need any tents. Definitely don't need any gold needles, gold bracelets, or, well, they are adorable, other cups. Extend power. It is pretty nice to have your levels maxed out. You can see that we have hit level 99 and done most of the game in about 7.5 hours, compared to the NS version where maxed out your levels is a really, really big time investment. Here it's kind of free. So you might as well get a lot of good statistical bonuses. And ultimately, some of the things that we really need are going to be just make sure you got max HP. That's going to be really helpful for all the character classes surviving long enough during the chaos fight to get your buffs established. And then typically it's like one other stat at most that you have to focus on. Black Mage focuses on getting intelligence so that we have really, really good spell damage. And to a large extent, White Mage and Red Mage, kind of the same thing. Well, your numerical level is very high. It is rarely going to be a lot of effort to get there. Things that are likely slower than a Black Mage. It is actually pretty uncommon, even at max level, for the Black Mage to really dramatically outspeed things. And this is going to be the one and only thing that the Thief is going to do well. We are probably going to be very good at running, because the Thief is a coward. That's Russ. Or do we go into space with our chime? And welcoming in Space Cowboy 2011. Thank you guys for the raid there, Space Cowboy. Hope you're having a good night. For those of you joining us, hope you had a good time watching Space Cowboy. We've got a solo Black Mage going through the GBA version of Final Fantasy. One more Fiend left to go. Then I will probably need to get some more recovery items. I'll be done with the 13 puzzle on the boat. I would like to have a handful more of elixirs and mega elixirs to be really safe for going through Temple of Fiends. We're going to be chaos, and depending on how much bonus time we have, I'm going to guess at least an hour. We'll be doing the Dawn of Souls dungeons that are some of the post-game content for the GBA version. And we will see what out of those we can do. Hey, glad to hear it's a good night, Space Cowboy. And thanks again for the raid. If it's 255 accuracy for the other classes, yeah, unfortunately, once you hit the max accuracy, you're getting no further gains. So any other character class that hits max accuracy is ultimately going to be just as good. And in fact, way better than the Thief in every single way. Black Mage, though, tiny bit short of max, but with the Masbune, we should max out. I want to say it's really close with Masbune equipped. And sure, maybe you might argue that we're not going to have that Masbune for at least 2,000 years. But for T-Mat, thankfully, we're not going to need it. Beep beep robot. Beep beep. Guards we might be able to run from. Vampires are going to be really tough to run. I think Chimeras and Mancats are going to be pretty tough as well. So a lot of stuff here I'm just going to blast with a lit tour fire too, just to get them out of the way. We're already at level 99, so all this experience is being wasted. Finally, glad you enjoyed the show. Definitely enjoy your lurking. Thanks for first strikes. Guaranteed run. As long as you run on the very first opportunity. If you don't take that first round to run, then you lose that right. Yeah, be really careful with a solo character where you might accidentally take a turn. Alright, Blue D's down. And we're going up. Alright, these spells are doing way more damage than the NS version, thanks to having hit 99 intelligence on our Black Mage, which does not happen naturally. That was a fairly large amount of level manipulations. It got pretty close to the end before I felt like it was able to kind of cruise up to 99. Before doing these challenges, I would have guessed that the Black Mage was naturally going to get, you know, like 60, 70 intelligence. I was kind of surprised it's only 50 guaranteed points. You start with 20, so that's taking you up to 70, but you still have a ways to go past that in order to really truly max out. We'll not be equipping that black shirt as we are not going to class change, but it is useful for Ice 2 spells. And that completes our elemental collection. Power Glove up there? Yeah, it's probably fine. Get rid of our Ice 2 spell now. We don't need to cast it there. Our final spell list is going to be these 5. All of them are really good. Temper Fast, Fire 3, Lit 3, and Ice 3. Could theoretically just get the fast items out of the 15 puzzle, although it is pretty good to have them on basically every boss that you need to melee. And it would be kind of tedious to grind up that many Hermes shoes. At this point, the last thing to pick up here is going to be Pro Cape. And then the last thing to pick up is going to be the Matthew. Is there any point to temper with the Power Glove picked up? Probably not. Power Glove gives you a similar-ish effect to Temper. And also improves your accuracy score, which can push your total number of attacks per round up a bit. So you're typically always going to be using the Power Glove when possible. That's the saber spell normally in the game. But I can never quite remember if you get the same number of attack points as the Temper spell. A little bit less or a little bit more. Like, it's close. Doing any Final Fantasy II GBA runs? I would maybe do some Final Fantasy II Pixelmaster. That's a really fun version of the game. Pixelmaster Final Fantasy II has just a really great soundtrack. It plays a little bit smoother than the previous ones, like less hassle with the trapped areas and remembering where all that stuff is. You don't have to do any of the bonus content because, let's be honest, Final Fantasy II, you don't really care about the side characters at all, so why spend time on them? Instead, we could be getting some quality slime time in. Oh, what a time it is. They replaced the window with an orb. Well, the embarrassing part is, every iteration of Final Fantasy has slowly degraded the quality of the Sky Castle. Initially, you started in space, like you were really up there. And then you kind of start getting like lower and lower. You know, just kind of like a normal hovering castle. Like, why couldn't you just fly the airship here? No explanation. And eventually, I am pretty certain that there's going to become a time when the Sky Castle is literally located underground. And when that happens, that's when we will unleash the subterranean Wormex. For the meantime, I guess we're just going to have to fight Tiamat. Decent sized munch that is pretty much less than a spell attack at this point. So is it worth spending more time with ruses? Probably not. Let's go over to Giants. I did 4 or 5 for carry. I think I said 4, but it might have been 5. That was 2,000 damage. That should be pretty much in the range for doing a good thing versus Tiamat here as well. Tiamat's going to have more defense, but we are going to have more stabbing. Ooh, Sky Castle back in space for Stranger Paradise. I wasn't quite certain where some of the things were in Stranger Paradise. It might be like night sky. I don't think it's actually in space. Welcome, Marcus. Hope you had a good time with Final Fantasy Tactics. I saw you going through that earlier today. Enjoying the character class known as the Archer. Dan had a bow. The only thing he'd be hitting is himself. And occasionally Tiamat. Morphine's done. Yeah, Sky Castle is kind of a mashup in Stranger Paradise, but the part that was kind of the Sky Castle spot, I kind of remember being dark outside. That's like the only detail that I remember at all from that playthrough. For those that have not played Stranger Paradise, it is a game that is definitely got a lot of negative criticism, but it's really not that bad. There's a few mechanical things that you will definitely notice are kind of unfun about the combat. The storyline is just bad enough that it wraps around to being funny bad. And it's the kind of game that, you know, if you want to play it once, you might enjoy it, and it's almost certainly going to be available at very cheap prices. I am surprised to say this, but we might be on pace to finish this Black Mage faster than the White Mage. If I go in now. Question is, could I win? 5 elixirs, 1 X potion. We get an elixir and mega elixir inside. That's 8 total heals. That's a pretty good number. I think I'm playing it safe. We're doing 50 puzzle. Let's get the rest of the 15 puzzle prizes out of there. I think I can get at least a couple more elixirs out of the second place prize pool. We'll try and get a couple of mega elixirs out of the first place prize pool. And then I will definitely know at that point that we are ready to go. But it's still amazing it's even the ballpark of White Mage. I thought the Black Mage would be like another 2 hours. Here we go. When we left off, I think the next prize was at 45 seconds. We don't need to hurry, but it's starting to get actually a little bit closer for the finishing times here. Let's confirm here. Yeah, 44 for the next one. Now we're going to be looking for probably 2 elixirs out of every block of 5 seconds. So 40 through 44, we're looking for 2 elixirs. There's one. It's 43. Two and 3. 2 elixirs. All right, so this block is already a winner. Liking this a lot. Oh yeah, Fantasy 15 is another game where at a reasonable price it is definitely worth picking up. Fantasy 15 has dramatically improved from its original launch. Like, it did not really do a good job sticking the landing at the ending, and that got fixed. So now there's a lot more ending content, makes it more satisfying to finish through and see the story kind of all fleshed out. It just took a little while to get the access to things that you really wanted to have. All right, this one's 42. All right, there's a remedy, not what we want, but that's fine. Already got our 2 elixirs for the block. So I guess I could do a 42 again. That was a really, really high one for the last one. Get a bonus one in here. 41, 2. All right, another remedy. Still at our 2 elixirs. Because this is a single character challenge, we get the same value of an elixir as we do for a mega elixir. Makes these especially attractive to go after. This is a terrible spot for these last couple. All right, 41. Eight, 39, 40, 41. Emergency exit, got plenty of those. You don't have a travel spell as a Black Mage, but these are very rarely going to be all that helpful. And I mostly have them so that when we finish up the game and beat Chaos, we'll be able to use the rest of our time by doing the emergency exit to go to the bonus dungeons. Alright, this one's going to be 40. Yeah, no warp spell because you are not class changing. Same thing with White Mage, cannot use the exit spells that you don't class change. Alright, I with Black Army Shoes. Not what we wanted, but we did get the 2 elixirs, so we're going to keep that one. Let's go back in for our next block of 5. Doing these, you'll definitely get some 15 puzzle fatigue for extended playthroughs. That makes sure I get the maximum value I can out of a reasonable number of attempts. 37, 38, 39. Another emergency exit. Wait, 38. Let's get the emergency exit off of the purple worms. So you don't necessarily need to get them here. It's just nice to have them ahead of time. Purple worms going to be a 1% drop chance. As we saw with the zombies, it can be a long time for one of those to show up. I don't happen to our zombies this time. We had pretty good luck with the zombies for getting mega elixirs in every character class so far. And then Black Mage just completely shut out. Got a big fat 0. Alright, 37. Turbo Ether. Alright, no elixirs so far. $36. Yeah, it's pretty fun doing these once you have kind of like a system down for the first 2 lines, and then the bottom line you have to do as a coordinated block. That's the secret to these. You cannot do the bottom 2 lines independently. Alright, got 1 elixir out of it. Let's see what we get for 35. I might take this even with only a single elixir. Just because at this point it is more laborious to grab these. Alright, this one's 35. Or 35. Yeah, I got a remedy there. So 1 elixir. I don't have a lot more tries at it. Our total currently is 8. That feels pretty good. I think I'm willing to take that. Let's go grab our last block here. And yeah, if you want to be fussy, you get elixir every single time just by resetting, but it'd take a very, very long time doing all these puzzle entries. Alright, 34 remedy. This one's 33. 1, 2, 3. Turbo Ether. $32. 2. Another Turbo Ether. I don't know about this one. This block is looking like it might be a bit of a strikeout. Oh, too slow. Went over time. I got a Fang. I was not even paying attention to that. Boy, it definitely gets tougher as you get near the end. Not as relaxing for doing these. Let's get some of these that are just really awful for the spots. I'll get this one off. Alright, so we did not get any in this block. I think we'll give it one more try. Yeah. Resets, we keep the leaderboard. Try to squeeze an extra elixir out of here. With the one in Temple Fiends, that'll give me a total of 10. Back up to 34 for the next one. Too fast. Look at Elixir, though. Ah, do I just take it? That'll be the last one. I didn't mean to push the 12 in there. I think this is probably fine. We'll call that the end of our 15 puzzles. If I need more recovery items, Mega Elixirs at first place prize pool is still there. As long as I don't put it in so fast I can't get more first places. Losing those Elixirs is not a problem. Okay. Detour complete. We have farmed our recovery items. That is a total of 4 more than I had before. I think we're going in. And once we touch that black orb, we are going to have to kill Chaos. If everything goes well, that's about an hour and a half that we have for bonus dungeons. That might be enough time to do some fun stuff. It would at least be a Final Fantasy V bonus dungeon completion. Get that Judgment Staff for the free nuke spells. That would be really, really overpowered as a Black Mage. I don't know if we could do Final Fantasy V and Final Fantasy VI, but it'd be kind of neat. Might have to do one of the shorter ones after the first pass through. We're here to kiss Chaos. That would be the Thief. That'll be next weekend. Last character class challenge once we get to Solo Thief. And I know that every single character class so far, without exception, I have said that I have been very surprised at how quickly these have gone, often being at least an entire day short of my retail estimates. But for the Thief, I am pretty certain it's going to be really long. Thief is the only one that I'm not confident it's going to finish in 2 days. It's like day number 1. If the thief is at Lich, I'd be surprised. Everybody else has minutes to at least get to Lich in the first day. They're almost certainly going to be behind there. Thief is probably going to have to do less level grinding intensity, so that'll be nice. There's just not really a lot of stats that help the thief out a real ton. Especially with your post-Astos. Pre-Astos, maybe you need to be kind of picky. That's just to get enough HP to survive things. You'll be using the 15 puzzle to get the attack items that you need to be able to beat Wizards and Astos. That'll be way better than trying to use a sword. Thief with no 15 puzzle would be not a very pleasant experience. I guess if you had enough attack items, you could take Lich down with those as well. That would be a lot of red fangs for the Fire 2s. And I don't quite know how the damage formulas for those work. Those might not depend on your intelligence stat. Which means the thief would be able to kill Lich in like 9 or 10 red fangs. I know how to play that lute. He played that lute so badly that it caused stone to melt. These are not songs that you want to hear. Alright, somebody, you give me 0 Mega Elixirs. Let's see one right now. Make up for that. No Mega Elixir. You don't need as many random strong HP gains. Yeah, I think you need like 10 or so as the thief. So it's not a really egregious amount. Black Mage needed like 22 or something. It was definitely kind of noticeable how much HP farming is required for a pretty substantial portion of the game. And then once I got it up ahead of it, you know, around level 60 or so, then we could kind of take a break from that and cruise to 999 while working on the intelligence. I really think about the thief. You have not a lot of expectations on using your sword, because your sword's gonna be terrible. Best weapon for the thief outside the Mazmoon is the Rune Sword, which you get shortly after you beat Astos. You're probably in pretty similar shape to the mages for killing things, except instead of getting a lot of guaranteed intelligence points, it's going to be very, very few. So one potential strategy, and this one is probably one of the more painful ones, is to get the thief intelligence breakpoints. And I don't know how I feel about that, because that is a lot of manipulated intelligence levels. Something like 50 or 60, which would be double the number that we did for the Black Mage. And just think about how long that's going to take for a character that's not good at killing things. It's daunting. It's also kind of weird maxing out your intelligence when you don't have any MP, so it's only the items getting used. But the theory kind of works. Like, you'd expect that this is purely intelligence-based for using like mage stuff here. If you got to 99 int, The Thief would be doing the exact same damage as this. And so you'd be just needing to get the Hermes shoes with 15 puzzle to be able to cast fast, and you'd be better off than Black Mage. But it'd be so much more preparation. I got the melee stats don't help. So the reason melee stats don't particularly help is that the amount of value that you get from a single use of the Power Glove is something like 12 points of strength. So you could spend a lot of time trying to get all those level ups manipulated for those strength points, but it's saving you maybe 1 round of combat. Agility and luck are the Thieves' 2 strong stats, and so you're going to have a lot of points there already. Agility helps with dodging things, and 1 point of agility is, well, 1 use of the defense sword is like 40 points of agility. It's, again, similarly just kind of overwhelming that the items are way, way better than the raw stats there. It only helps in the sense that you can get some advantages in the random hallway encounters. You don't have to worry about taking as much damage there, or the beginning of the boss fights. Let's dig into this fight. There's a chance that Lich doesn't cast the nuke spell or attack, just kind of does something pretty ineffective. And you think about, all right, what are the odds that he does that 3 or 4 times in a row? It's like, okay, you could probably, with the Thief, reset and get a better fight going than the manipulations on the level ups required to get all of those in a row done. But yeah, the really good stats are the ones that you can't buff up. So intelligence, there's no replacement from items. It's just that if you don't hit the breakpoints, you just do less damage with all of the magical effects in the game. And stamina, that's kind of one of these loose ones because, yes, you could use the protect potions a whole bunch, but that's like a kind of entirely new class of things that you have to do to buff up, so that's many extra turns. So it's nice getting freebies there, plus you get to have the nice slight time savings of getting to 999 hit points a little bit faster. Oh, I can kind of see being okay, but you're getting a lot for the Thief to be decent on those. I'm doing this mate stuff as an experiment. That seemed like it was a pretty long time killing Lich with items. So we're going to do a little comparison, and do carry with stabbing. Oh yeah, the solo characters really show you a lot more stuff. Especially bosses with like interesting things that they can do in the fights that they're normally long dead before you could even imagine them getting those off. Chaos is one of the few fights where you get to see pretty deep in his move list. Kill spell rub. Kill spell is XXXX. That's the one if you don't have death resistance from white shirt, pro ring, or ribbon, and your current HP is under 301, it just guarantees to work. Otherwise, it guarantees to not work. Doesn't even have any interactions with your magic defense score. One of the few things that ignores that. Yeah, I believe rub is called death. by the early 2000s, it was allowed by Nintendo to have things like death and kill in games, and you didn't have to have used wizards for everything, which was a nice improvement. Warp is the zap spell, I believe. That's the one that is time-based instant death against your whole party. It's very inaccurate, but because very few things block time, that's only the black shirt and the ribbon, it is really hard to protect against for a party that's not going to represent everybody yet. Warp is teleport, I believe. Yeah, everything gets renamed. You get used to it after a while. That initial impression, though, is that it's all kind of weird stuff, and it's really just using the original Japanese names. So none of this is invented for the remakes. It's just how it was originally written before all the US localization was done. So I'm 99, welcome in. Thank you very much for resubscribing back for 44 months. Definitely enjoy. Watching Dan take down Chaos here. I can't really count the defense swords because we didn't need those for Lich. Versus carry, we had a couple Giant's Clubs. We're going to have the haste spell here. And this is the Silver Knife, which is already doing about on the high end of what my spell damage would be capable of. A couple more Giant's Clubs, and you'd probably be doing 600 to 800. This is right around when you break even doing one more Power Glove here. How the stuff that's happened for the spell names? Yes, that's why all the spells are abbreviated to fit into a 4-character restriction. Monsters, on the other hand, like Merilith could have been included. It's 8 characters, which is the limit. But I think that, one, it was a reference that they didn't think people would understand. It is very Dungeons & Dragons focused for an introduction, and their audience was not expected to have any familiarity with that. And 2, it's like a really complicated name when most of the time they try to be very simplistic. I guess it's faster than running. Yes, Dan is terrible at running. Incredibly slow, possibly the worst character class in the game for escaping from enemies here. So even though we're at level 99, a lot of enemies are still going to be a pretty tough chance to run from. To the point where, since Dan can just one-shot everything with an item that doesn't even use up any MP, I would rather have the consistency of doing that. Your alternative being saves going across the floors. And that is where you save, take a couple steps, save again if you didn't get a counter reset otherwise. And that is also consistent, but also very, very slow. So you don't really have as good of a time if you can do the encounters. There's only a couple areas where I would save scum. Like up at the top floor, I save scum because the frost dragons will almost always go first, and their blizzard move is a lot of damage that takes a very long time because the animation is really slow. Speaking of taking my time, let's take our time versus the Kraken. Just how good one fiend can get. They're carrying Photo Z4 as a random obby. I think that's the one that drops the Artemis arrows. It's in a pack of monsters near the end of the game. Two. Go up to 4 of these. Kraken's gonna have a fair bit extra defense compared to carry. In fact, I might go 5. Carry was kind of borderline for our attack power at 3. And 20 defense is more than an entire use of the Power Glove here. We'll try this. And it'll be very, very lovely when we actually have our Masamune on the next floor. Gonna be great. No. We're gonna be getting Kraken. That seems like a good number of Power Gloves. Three down. One fiend left to go. We are right around the time when the White Mage made it to Chaos. So I think we're just going to be a very, very small bit slower than White Mage. It's been really impressive. I thought that Black Mage going to be pushing 10 hours. Even after every single character class so far has been well underestimated. I am still over on these. No emergency exits. Whiz Vamp using a fire. That seems like cheating. In this version, the A-Fire spell is broken in multiple ways. One problem is that when a monster casts an AoE spell, it misses themselves. So when you have those Whiz Vamps doing A-Fire up in Sky Castle, and it's by himself, it is literally not hitting anybody. Not even trying to. But then on top of that, monster static resistances cannot change during a fight. They accidentally use the original value rather than the updated values whenever it checks to see what they're resistant to. So even if it does cast A-Fire on somebody, it's going to think that it does not have resistance. And while I would normally say this is one of the few bugs that benefits the players, there's really no benefit to the players. You don't even see Whiz Vamps anyway. No Mega Elixirs. Very soon. There's going to be no more fiends. We got one more left to go. Finally, we have our first upgrade of our weapons since we beat Astos. Let me make certain that this weapon works by testing it thoroughly on Tiamat here. I think the twice was accuracy at 99 as White Mage. Yeah, for some reason the White Mage gets really bad accuracy, but the White Wizard gets a big bonus. So if you class change, I want to say that the White Wizard and Black Wizard are very similar for combat. But if you don't class change, the Black Mage is fine, and the White Mage is just absolutely host. I'm going to guess that this is not a topic that came up in the game design. It is kind of funny. Beans are complete. And only chaos remains. So let's get down there. Alright, let's fight the 1 in 64 Iron Golem, and then we're going to get down there. It was worth it. More HP. All over MP. Although MP is not a concern. We're going to be purely HP limited in this fight. One big elixir, elixirs, couple X potions. Making sure everything is ready to go. I don't see any improvements here. Our big boss theme, we've got the fight versus chaos. Yes. And hopefully ends. Problem with chaos is going to be that I think Dan is so slow that you go last almost every round, which is going to make it really tough to figure out when to throw our recovery items. Up until this point, pretty much all of our characters have at 99 outsped chaos. So if we're down at 100 health, I can pop an elixir and not be too worried. That is not the case here. Yes, going hard on the skills. Next skill would be Crack, which is a freebie. Haven't seen any spells yet. Melee attacks are going to be pretty much taken care of thanks to all these defense swords. Working on Giant's Gloves. So a couple Giant's Gloves needed to max out our physical attack, but we also need to max out our attacks per round pretty soon. Come on, stop doing that. Let's do another defense sword here. Get even worse since he's fast at. So if the fight goes a long time, want to make sure that we get a pretty good evasion right here. There's a spell. We got ice 3 off. I believe 2 more Giant's Claws should max this out. There's slow 2. It does not hit. Okay, Chaos is hitting. Melee is still a problem. 280 is not good here right now. Yep, 408. Wow, that's with a lot of defense swords up. All right, so we need more of those. I don't think I can take the time for the defense potions. Just gonna have to rely on dodging and hoping that it doesn't have too many critical hits. If you think this is tough, the Thief is probably gonna be worse. This is just the warm-up. That's a lot of damage. Well, let's see if we can survive this round. Nope. Tough one for melee. I think we had a okay setup. I just didn't expect to need that many defense swords to be safe. So I transitioned over to power gloves too early. So this time we're going to target like 6 or 7 defense swords. And just try and stay alive during that process. And there's ice 3. Going for spells for a little while is okay, but once he gets too fast, the attack problem gets even worse. There's 2 spells up to slow 2. Does not hit. There's lit 2, so he's 1 away from cure 4 now. This version, cure 4, will heal him for 9999, which is only half of his health. We should be safe here. Question is, am I safe doing it one more time? Yeah, we're gonna gamble. After this, we're gonna have to heal up. What I don't know is, can I survive 2 of the spell attacks in a row? Think if he melees or spells here, we're fine. If he does another skill, we got a problem. Yeah, maybe not. 268 for Cyclone. This seems like it's good. Alright, so this time we got a little bit more evasion up. Our fast spell is on. We're going to go for the power gloves now. Roughly 5 power gloves, and then speed drinks becomes more effective than power glove after that point. Your 4 is 5. Fast is not as good. That's now very scary. Even though I'm dodging almost every attack, it is possible for a couple to get through there. One more on for our defense sword. Nice slow chaos. Nope. He's gonna be immune to everything. And he's gonna hit really hard. 3 in one go. That is pretty rough here. Well, let's see if Dan goes first. Nope. That's why the fast is pretty devastating. It really increases the odds that Chaos can get multiple criticals in a row. I just think it's going to take way too long to get the protects up. Maybe I'll try it. Each protect would only knock the damage down by a couple points per hit. So you need a lot of them to make a difference. Everywhere Blair. Thank you for Reese's going back for 21 months. I'm glad you believe in Dan, because Dan certainly doesn't. Yes, Zero, welcome in. Thank you for the good wishes. We are hopefully going to make some progress on Chaos. It's a tricky start to the fight. And then even once you kind of think things are safe, it is possible for Chaos to just pull a big physical out of nowhere. The spells and skills I can kind of predict about how they're going to be likely progressing in here and try and be safe around them. Well, there's just no telling if Chaos can get a 600 in a round that is very, very tough to deal with. There's Chaos is slow too. Our match defense is high enough that pretty much anything that is a defense check we're going to pass. Even if it is non-elemental, we don't really worry about that much. Up to Cure 4. I think we're up to a good number of ruses, so I'm going to try the Protect Drinks now. This only works versus melee attacks, so I still have to deal with his spells and skills in the meantime. So keep an eye on how he's progressing through those. As a group, this is a lot easier to deal with because you can have multiple people stacking buffs at the same time, including AoE buffs. That gives your entire team protection all at once. That makes it so much easier to get things established. Yeah, 65 there. It's for the good wishes there. We have to heal after this round. Chaos is not at nuke yet, but he's close enough that we're going to be playing it pretty defensive on things. Because the problem is, Dan being so slow, we go second basically every time. Making it so much harder to heal. Alright, we're gonna do more Protect Drinks. Got plenty of recovery items still. So I don't feel like I am forced to go on the offensive anytime soon. Use 6 so far. Got a couple more here. Might do my speed drink before I go and get the power gloves going. Just using all the items up and then doing the rest of the preps. The Crack's fine. Crack's my free round. We haven't seen a melee attack in a while, so I don't know how big of a difference these Protect Drinks have made, but it should be probably cutting his damage by about a third of the point. Go to number 10. Last one in there. there's fast. This is a pretty awkward HP number. I'd like to get to a spot where we are either safe away from nuke or we absolutely have to heal. Wait, do this back and forth a little bit. Okay, we're at 800. I think that's good. I'll just use the nuke spell. It's really bad when he just slowly taunts it. Ooh, Dan went first. I haven't seen that happen all that often. Still in the skills really hard. Next skill's a freebie though. We haven't seen anything for melee attack for a while, and he's just sitting on this nuke. Is probably fine, but I'm going to be playing this game again. Now he's sitting on nuke. That was off with the spells. There we go. With nuke out of the way, damage is back down to a little bit more reasonable for the spell line of things. So we should be all set here other than power gloves. All right, the way that got through, that's about half the damage that we saw previously. That's a very positive sign. That means if we got a 3-hit combo in, let's say that's maxed out like 300 damage, we could survive one of those. About as well as we could survive one of the elemental attacks. Got 3 more power gloves, and then at that point, it's going to be cruising time. Just took a while to get the defensive safety established. There's a double. Still not terrible. Got one more. $500 to $600 is the dangerous range. That's where a really, really high round twice in a row could surprise you. I've been trying to stay out of there, but if I'm a little bit above, we're great. If I'm a little bit below, then we just do the big heals. Down with Ice 3, so he's back into the beginning of the spell list. Very soon. Yeah, this is going to be back into dust. Three more hits. Two more hits. And maybe 3 more. Don't quite know if he's going to make it. One more to go. And I believe this does it. Our only Black Mage, the others were busy, has defeated Chaos. Eight hours, 49 minutes, 35 seconds. Gonna be 5th place for our character classes, so slowest so far. But I